So going back to the Stowage child, the front support blade, this is the part that's attached to the front end of the Leopard 2 AVLB. As an additional piece that I want to attach onto here are these, what looks like two plates, two landing plates for the crews to actually step onto the tank up at the front to get to the driver's and commander's side. Since you have that additional armor, there's really no footstep for those men to step onto. So they actually land on here. Now, I'll show that to you in the book, the Leguan Tankograd book. On page, I think it's on page 50. Sorry about that. Keep banging that side. You'll see it over here, that platform, very distinctly over here on page 51. That's something that Hobby Boss did not attach. So it looks pretty easy to do. But the thing is, though, I want to point out is if you notice on those plates that are on either side of that Stowage child, it looks like it's textured. So there's a little bit of a textured gripping area for those crews to actually step on, to actually get up onto the tank. So how do I do that? Well, I'll show you how. Additionally, there was something else that I want to add as well. And on the very edge of the Stowage child are, for lack of a better term, are these feelers. And these are from the Aber, excuse me. They're German indicators for this World War II tank. It's their half-track APC. And I thought, you know what? I think it will just do just as fine for what I need to do to attach those feelers on the edge of that Stowage child. So that's another modification, an addition that I'm going to be placing onto that as well. So I'll show you how that's done as well. All right, so I came by and I cut out 1 millimeter thickness styrene sheets. The dimensions are about 22 millimeter by about 15 millimeter. Just really quickly, not a big sweat. Actually, not 15, but 17 millimeter. And it fits pretty well in conjunction of, come here. And slipping it right underneath where the Stowage child is. Okay, so it should be pretty much a good show right there. Right now I came by and I used some Tamiya tape. This is a 5 millimeter thickness. And on this one here, I've already placed the tape on there to add the texture. It's a dual product. It's a cement with this texture-like substance. Now, it says for you to brush it on, so we'll brush this stuff on. We'll put it into a small little paint palette and then just brush that onto this entire area here. I'll probably place a toothpick or something like that on the back side, let that dry, and then just go ahead and put that stuff on there. After about an hour, then we're going to go ahead and use this. All right, so with the Stowage child, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and put some texturing on a couple of these panels using this VNS product. This one right here is their cement, and this other bottle here is their their texture coat. It looks like you just sprinkle this stuff on. It's basically just a, as you can see there, it's just a powder. Looks like it says the ingredients are quartz crystals. This is just a liquid cement. Now, they do have a video out that asks you to place this stuff using a brush. So I just put it onto a palette, just a regular palette, paint palette, and just dip your brush in there and just paint it straight on there. Now I did mask it. Hopefully it does not bleed through the mask. We're going to find out. Never used this product before. And it says to put it on there pretty liberally. Now in the video that VMS has, it actually shows you spraying this material on there. I'm not sure if it's the glue, the cement, but I did see this whole text being sprayed on. I'm not sure how that works. It looked like it was in a liquid form as it was being sprayed down. What do you attach that liquid form onto? But with the cement, it mentioned that it should be just there for about an hour or so. So I just laid it down. I'm going to take it outside and sprinkle on this whole text and then paint it. See how that comes out. All right, so after letting the cement from VMS set, we're going to go ahead and use the text, the whole text product. Basically all it is just, it looks like it's a quartz type of mixture, and so it comes in a pretty nice bottle, nice squeeze bottle, looks like, okay? And we're just gonna apply it deliberately right onto these sides. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just dump it in there. Now this thing looks like it just squeezes on there, okay? And then you just shake that stuff off. And if you look closely, okay, you can see a little bit of that texture that I want on that non-skid panel. So that looks good. Pretty pleased with that. Just shaking it off. Although I kind of wondered though if you can recycle that stuff. You know, it's a little bit of a waste. So I'm going to see if I could try to pop open that top and see if I can try to scoot that stuff back in there. But yeah, works pretty well. You can see a little bit of that texture. So we're going to go ahead and paint that in about a day or so. So continuing with enhancements of the Leopard AVLB, I was trying to make those skid plates from just plastic. And they were a little short. They were a little small. So it's actually going to be about 21 millimeter by about 23 millimeter. That should be more than enough for us to cover up the stud guard that's here. So those plates will be going approximately in this general area here. The texture coats seem to be good. I was able to use the VMS cement and the whole texture. This is the finer stuff. There's another one that's a little bit more coarser. Might want to go with that one, but I'm satisfied with this. I already have it. I already got it, so not a big deal. The other thing I'm going to enhance is this Aber 1/34 scale German width indicators. I already grabbed a couple of them and their bases to go with them. I came by and I mounted them onto a circular pad to give it a little bit more of a bite onto the stud guard. But basically they're going to be going onto the area right about, let me just get this in position, I already crazy glued the base, right approximately in this general direction here. In this general area right here. So that's where they're going to be at. A little bit of an angle, offset angle. I just put crazy glue on those guys, so they're just a little wet. They should be dry about now. And we're going to go ahead and attach those on there, paint them black. So that's the whole idea behind those indicators, which should be the last modifications within the hull of the tank that we have here for the AVLB. The side skirts, modification there seems to work pretty well using those pins. There are 3 of them, in fact, that I use to hold down the more robust armor plates. I'm assuming ERAs panels onto the side skirts there for that Leopard 2. So everything's coming along. The only thing next I'm going to be doing is when I attach the lay-in arm and over there in the back, the hex arm, I'm going to have to reinforce it inside the hole. So that's going to be the next thing I'm going to be doing. And that should be it for the tank, in which case I'm going to go ahead and paint that out. So on another modification of the Leopard 2 AVLB, I'm going to go ahead and remove one of the doors, which I've already have done, one of the electrical boxes that's adjacent to the electrical box. It looks like it's a storage unit besides the cage that's over here in the back. I removed one and actually started placing these items. This is from Legend. This is LV1418. It's a U.S. armor fighting vehicle storage set. Has a lot of neat little things, a locker here, a few duffel bags, an Alice pack here, some canteens for water and fuel, MREs, stretcher. So I'm going to go ahead and start using some of those items here, like this duffel bag, a couple of these Alice packs that we have here, and try to fit them into that storage unit. And as you can see, I've dropped in a foot locker inside there, a duffel bag, a little bit of an Alice pack, and I'm probably going to try to put in here a stretcher unit or two inside there. So all I need to do is just paint this guy, at least the new stuff that's in gray, paint those guys out and weather them out, shadow them up, and see how they look. Otherwise, I had to do some cutting of some of those things, the foot locker especially, that would need to be shaved down quite a bit. And the duffel bag need to be flattened out just a bit to actually get that guy to fit in. But I think it'll look good. I'll just keep it there as an option. Won't glue that one hatch down like what's on this other one that will be over here on the other side with the laying arm in between. So that's the whole idea of what I wanted to do with that one open box. Okay, so we'll see how that comes out. Little foot locker. I just primed it, didn't color it too much, but I did use Tamiya panel line accent color, the black accent color, and using that with Tester's enamel thinner. That seemed to work. They removed the primer. Was able to streak it and gave me some pretty good shadowing of that box. So Yahoo, that's good. I like that. No big deal. As far as the duffel bag, I first use a Tamiya, a dark green XF73, dark green JG SDF XF73. And I used that first after I primed it, colored the whole thing, colored the whole bag. Well, not the whole bag, but colored the majority of it. And then, once I was finished with that, I used a Vallejo model, acrylic, green sky, to give it a little bit of a weathered look. This is 70.974. 70.974. Green sky. Hope you can see that. Green sky. 70.974. So I came by and I just dry brushed that onto that bag. Now the extra straps that you see up there on the top, along the side here, okay, I colored that guy with Tamiya deep green, an XF76. It's almost like those straps there, they don't wear out much. I mean, I've had a sea bag for quite a while, and I know that canvas wears out quite a bit. But those straps, they're very resilient. They don't wear out too much. So I'm going to go ahead just really quickly demonstrate that with this last bag. So I came and I dry brushed it. And there you go. Small little pouch. Maybe you use that for a first aid medical kit. And then, of course, the straps, you know, like I said, just using the deep green XF26. So there we go. All I need to do now is just attach these guys. Set that puppy there. Oh, come on. It worked before. There it goes. And then the last one. Oh, it fit approximately like right in through there. But that's it. It gives it, you know, a little bit of detail for what's inside those storage containers. So I'll glue that stuff down. I do want to go ahead and place maybe a stretcher. I did see the hacksaw laid on top of there. That was kind of interesting seeing that on my Tankograd book. But yeah, there you go. Okay, so a few more modifications and onto the paint job. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so the next part of our small pieces, small stuff, we're going to go ahead and paint the tools, which is something that you'll find on just about every tank imaginable, I can imagine. First of all, you have your spade, small little shovel, okay? You got 2 shovels. Oops, come here, you. 2 shovels that came with the kit itself. A hacksaw, I believe that's what that is. Some sort of metal tool that they use for, I guess, like a wrench, turning torque wrench. Pickaxe, small axe, sledgehammer that we have here. Some of the pieces, as you can see, the gray ones that we have here on the ends, that came from a different kit, resin kit that I had laying around. I might have thrown out the tree accidentally, finishing up on this Leopard 2 AVLB. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and paint these guys up so that way they'll be a little bit more realistic. So what we have here, following Andy's hobby headquarters, a site that I go to get some how-to stuff, tutorials, such of things. He does some builds as well over in Arizona. Great guy. Seems very presentable in his way that he does his things. But in this tutorial, he shows us how to make the wooden parts and to give him a little bit more depth, to give him a little more detail. Now, I do have a few paints, starting off with Tamiya Wooden Deck Tan XF78. We also have this MIG colored, one that I've been using, the NATO Black MIG 0278. This polished metal, also another MIG product, MIG 3021. And almost lastly, getting back to Tamiya, NATO Green XF67. The only thing I'm missing though from this, and I just misplaced it. Oh, there it is. My panel liner, Tamiya panel liner black. And another one I need to kind of purchase eventually is a panel liner brown. So those are the items that we'll be using. I'm going to just go ahead and finish up cleaning up these parts. We're going to go ahead and kind of like clamp them on to my locking tweezers. We're going to paint the wooden part first. Get those guys out of the way. And we're just going to go ahead and just lather down, clean the straps and part of the metal, that wood color, that deck wood color, even though it's deck wood, but I think that'd be okay. On Andy's hobby headquarters. He uses two different Tamiya colors. He uses a yellow rose, a yellow desert yellow, and also a buff to give you the different colored woods. But I think that's going to look okay for the most part. We're going to go ahead and set those guys aside and paint out those metal parts later. The metal is going to be Ammo MIG NATO black color. That's the intention of what I'm going to be using. And very simply, like I said, just paint the wooden handles first. I don't have it with me just yet, but I'm going to go ahead and get myself, because I do need it eventually, that brown panel line color. And you'll see why in a moment. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish painting out the rest of these tools. This one here is the axe, again, that you would see on these tanks. Now, as for the total metal parts, like for example, the torque wrench, just clip that on there, that torque wrench there. We're going to paint that, like I said, that one, and the hacksaw, that's strangely painted this dark green, using a NATO black. So that's what we intended to do. So we're going to set this aside for now and finish painting the rest of them, okay? They're pretty dark in color. And I'm supporting this thing with just a toothpick, basically. I'm painting the whole thing, straps and all. Now, sometimes the tools could be painted as part of the camouflage. I've seen that happen a few times, mostly with the tow bars. But there you go. Okay, so it doesn't have to be steel per se. And that's where the polish metal will come to play for those metal parts. All right, so with the wooden parts dried up, we're going to go ahead and proceed to the metal aspects of our tools. So again, we're going to go ahead and just paint the metal portions in a NATO flat black. I have these guys suspended because they were laying a little too flat on the bench here. So I'm just going to elevate them, suspend them, make sure they don't fall on their sides. And that gives it a little bit more of a realistic looking metal color. And very likely they are painted to prevent the rusting of the equipment and protect it as well. And there are some covers and straps that I'll proceed on attaching once these two paints and pigments are laid down. All right, so there's your hatchet, your axe. We're going to go ahead and paint out the hammer, sledgehammer. Now with any part, you want to make sure that you try to remove those seams, trying to correct any flash that's hanging around. And again, we're painting the whole thing in this NATO black. And once that is done, then we're going to go ahead and proceed into weathering this metal. Maybe not like the metal tracks, but to give it a more of a worn out look for these tools that we have all about on the tanks. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, once these pieces have been painted, I'm going to go ahead and just pick up the pickaxe here. So you see, it came out relatively nice. Yeah, I think so, with that NATO black. We're going to go ahead and paint the straps down, and using Tamiya's XF67 Natal Green. I use that as the base. I'm going to just continue using that as the base color for most of these pieces. Since I did use the MIG ammo Natal Black and Natal Brown, I used the Natal Green and they were just slightly different shades. So I just stuck with the Natal Green, and besides I had a big giant bottle of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint those straps, and then once those straps have been painted, I'm going to switch over to the MIG pigment, the polished metal. That's MIG 3021. This is a pigment, just really great looking stuff. It's like a fine powder. You probably don't need a lot of it to put into a paint palette. But once I've done that, I'm going to use another MIG item. This is the MIG rubber brush. It comes in a set. I use that for my Taint Tracks rubber brush set. 7606. Okay. I'm not sure if you really need that, but you know what? We're going to go ahead and use it, and especially the pointed tip, because I want to be able to get access to just very certain areas. So I'm going to show you that application as soon as I finish painting the straps, and continue now. Whoops, here we go, with the brown Pentaline color. I do need this actually, this Tamiya Pentaline brown color, for the ships that I do. I do a couple of wooden ships, wooden deck ships, that is. I use obviously this wood deck tan on one of my carriers, and I used it also recently, a while back on the USS Galveston, one of my better accomplishments. But I came by and I streaked it with paint instead of using, probably use this. Anyways, so I did get it, and we're going to go ahead and use it on the wooden parts. So as we can see on the wooden parts of these tools here, these pioneering tools, we're going to go ahead and follow what Andy's model headquarters mentioned. Textured, colored look. A little bit more of a wooden look to it. So as you can see, sort of kind of a little bit of this brownish color to that background tan, that wood deck tan. We're going to let it dry, and we're just going to keep building it up more or less. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get the rest of these guys done up as well. And in a sense, just darkening it up. Pulling it, as Andy mentioned, in a few areas here and there. And I'm not trying to be pretty, but it's gonna hopefully give us this little bit of a weathered wood look, instead of being some brand new tool that just came off the assembly line. So we're going to let that dry for a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and add that pigment onto. Okay, so we'll probably give it another coat. So before we continue with the tools and finish up on the small stuff, I do want to point out that there was a section, a different video. There was a different video that I was showing you on the side skirts, and I just refound this part. Sorry about showing it here, but I was mentioning about the side skirts with the wavy pattern, and I was actually going to be using these two pieces as my side skirts for the AVLB, but I decided to go for the more robust, incorrect, I believe, side skirts, because those side skirts that I actually put onto the Leopard 2 AVLB or for the Leopard 2 A6 tank, not the AVLB. Rick kind of pointed this out to me from Rick's 135th scale models. He pointed it out to me. But you know what? We're going to just deal with it. I mean, I like it. It looks good. And for those of you who are doing, certain modifications, I mean, you enjoy what you enjoy doing. I enjoy what I do as well, and try to get the most accurate, correct piece that I'm doing. Model kit, plane, ship, whatever the case may be. And there are going to be times where some of your pieces might be a little bit off. But you know what? Who cares? Okay, as long as you enjoy it, as long as you don't have some rivet counter. Oh, you got too many rivets on your tank. You know what? You can, where? Go to North Korea. Complain over there. Anyways, so we're going to go ahead and start installing, painting on a metal pigment. Okay, so we're going to do that next. We're going to go ahead and use that rubberized brush and the pigment. Now the pigment basically is just like a dried up paint. The color of the pigment that you're going to be using. And again, I'm going to use the needle nose pointy tip, and I'm just going to lightly brush that stuff on. And it's going to be placed where the men would actually be grabbing this tool to give it that bit of that weathered look. Hey, that I'm being used here. Not me personally, just a tool. Well, am I a tool? Anyways. So that's what it's going to look like there. So as you can see, kind of carefully, you can see the shiny areas of where the men actually grip it. It might be a little bit better personally up front, the way I'm looking at it right now. And maybe add a little bit more. And you really don't need a lot of that pigment. I see it's shiny a little bit right there on the corners, more or less. So we're going to do the same thing with the other tools. It's not a paint, so it doesn't really need to be dried. Here's a spade. Now I'm going to polish up right now. And having that black base actually really makes it a really nice shiny metal looking color. And don't worry about getting into that gap right there in the middle. Don't worry about that. You want to have it, try it again. You want to have that gap dark, shadowed. But you do want to have the edges a bit marked up. And if you think you use too much, just go at it with a Q-tip, okay? So those are those pieces. Let's go to that torque wrench. Okay, and that's the reason why I got the pointed one. I'm gonna just brush it right inside that hole there. Okay, to give it that little bit worn out look. And I'll show you. Looks a little better. We're going to go ahead and finish that off on these middle parts. So I'll show you what the rest of it will look like in just a moment. So with the middle wrench, that torque wrench, that track adjustment bar, it's getting that pretty weathered out look. And be random with it, and even do some of the straps, because the straps do get worn out eventually. So what about the black panel liner? Well, that one, we're just going to put that on there where some of the shadows would be. Maybe even darken up where your straps will be held. Use that polish steel, polished metal, excuse me, on the edges. Just that when you use that brush, make sure you go into the direction where it's going to be hitting. In the sense of the sledgehammer, bidirectionally. Okay, make sure that you get the ends. It's kind of hard to see with this camera. Of course, I focus. Okay. Also, with, like I said, with that edge, that sharp edge of the axe. Okay. And what will this look like? So let me show you with all the pieces here. It came out right nice. You know, just like Andy said it would. With the spades, the shovel, the pickaxe, and the tools, the other tools, the hacksaw, the torque wrench there. They all came out really nice. So I hope you enjoyed that one last part of accenting those small tools. It's really easy to do. It's not too difficult. And again, using a black panel liner, just highlight like where the wood meets the metal. And if you use too much, you know, just wipe it down. It's not a big sweat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and do another enhancement on the Leopard 2 AVLB. The thing we want to do is take a look at some cable, some towing cable. Now, I have here a very similar piece of copper wire. It's very much like what you would get possibly in your tanks. Maybe not in your Hobby Boss tank. This is from something else. But why am I wearing gloves? What's the deal with that? Well, the reason being I'm wearing gloves because I'm going to be using this black track solution. Now, this is from, again, from VMS, our VMS product. They have a video on how to use this material. And what they do is they pour some of this into a bath, which we have here, this plate that's right before us. It's an old dish. Don't worry about it. I don't think my wife's going to know, so don't tell her. But all you have to do is that you lower your metal tracks into this solution. Once you insert it into those metal tracks into the solution, it starts to blacken those metal tracks through a chemical process that I'm not really going to get into. But interestingly, I am a chemistry teacher, and I kind of recognize the solution. And ingredients are there. The warnings are there. The warnings are to make sure that you're wearing gloves and eye protection, which I do have. I do have my eye protection. But also making sure that you immerse this solution and immerse your metal tracks, even though this is a copper wire. We're going to see what happens. And let it soak in there for about like 10, 15 minutes. And when you do this, you want to come by and soak that in there, and it starts to give it this very darkened, weathered looking metal track, which looks really appropriate. But we're going to try it on this copper wire. Even though this is mostly copper sulfate, it says so right in the ingredients what it is: copper sulfate and some selenium dioxide and some orophoric acid, which will probably eat into the metal track. So we're going to go ahead and use this and see what occurs. Now, I don't want to pour this stuff directly in there. I want to save it. You know, like I said, this is just a test to see if this actually works on copper. So I got a little dropper, pipette, and I'm going to just submerge that stuff in there. And we're going to go ahead and submerge this copper wire in there. Now, I gave it a bit of a bent just to flow through the side of the glass here. So we're going to go ahead and dip that in there. And see, we have some sort of reaction to this. I need this. Damn, sorry. I'm gonna give it a few more shots. That was 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so we'll be right back to see if there's any results on this. All right, so real quick, I do want to point out 5 minutes have passed, and this Black Track Pro 2.0, this burnishing fluid is doing its job with this copper. I'm going to go ahead and remove the camera from its stand. I'm using the tweezers just to kind of hold the thing down. But more interestingly, as you can see, where the copper wire is submerged, I'm using those tweezers to kind of hold it down into the solution. And you can see a big difference. Here's the copper wire here, and here's the copper wire in its blackened solution. Now, as I'm holding this down, kind of interesting, my tweezers are getting blackened. Yikes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll leave it that way. But just within 6 minutes now, this burnishing fluid is doing its job. Now, I'm not going to get into the chemical reaction, what's going on. I don't want to bore you with that. I do know how to figure it out. But just really quickly, as I mentioned, this looks really good. This system right here, and you can see right in between. You can see it getting darker there. Using a brush, as I'm using here, up there at the top of the screen there, using that brush to actually, moisten the rest of this. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back onto its stand. And we'll see you in about another 3 minutes until 10. Okay, it's almost 10 minutes. All right, so as we're coming upon 10 minutes now, I think I'm pretty satisfied with how blackened, how dark that copper wire is. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and get a paper towel. We're just going to go ahead and transfer that copper wire onto the paper towel. 10 minutes right now. Let's just remove that. Just drop it onto the towel. Probably do the same thing with the tweezers. And as you can see, there's a bit of this residue that's on there. Again, that's normal. You're going to get that residue. You have some of it a little bit within that dish. Next thing you're going to do, we're going to go ahead and transfer it over to get a little water bath. All right, so after 10 minutes of exposure to this copper sulfate solution, really quickly, the tweezers, as you can see under the light, I was able to rub off some, but not a majority of that blackening solution. So it's not going to kill it, but this is what they do use when they make gunmetal dark. They dip that stuff into that solution. But let's take a look at the copper wire. So you can see on the copper wire, quite a few differences, as you can see. So if you notice, we have this very shiny copper line. Just remove my gloves. And you can see a very weathered looking black and copper line. So yeah, I mean, Yahoo, it works on copper. Even this little piece that's out here, this little stinger it got right out here, I'm just going to come by and remove that little piece because it was intruding onto the tie downs that I want to actually attach it on. But yeah, let's take a look how well it bends. can I bend it still and not have this stuff come off? And as I'm bending it, I got no residue. No residue, maybe a little bit. But as you can see in that copper wire, it's totally, I mean, it looks like it's coming off. But yeah, I mean, it does do its part. It does blacken that metal. Okay, so success on an enhancement. You know, for if you want to darken up your tow cables. I don't think they're going to be this bright, shiny copper line that comes with your model kits sometimes. So if you have that, some sort of burnishing solution, that blackened liquid that comes in a blue solution, if you have something like that, this one here is from VMS. Okay, and works pretty well. I enjoy it. So we're going to go ahead and attach those tow cable lines and actually snip out some sizes and fix it and then dip it into the solution. Okay, so back at the bench, what I just purchased a little while ago was this actual cable I'm going to use. This is a Eureka XXL tow cable for for Leopard 2 A6. They come in various forms, I guess, various lengths. This is a pretty long copper wire. And as we just tested with our test subject that I found aboard my ship, very similar looking product, we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and shape this out first to the Leopard 2 AVLB and then attach the tow eyelets that are attached onto the tow hooks of the of the tank. So we're going to see how that looks, and hopefully that comes out pretty well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and repeat the process now with our cables that we measured out and semi-form. I didn't really form it up because I said to myself, well, you know what? I need to dip it first. Now, I curled it up and flattened them out so that way all of it stays in the solution. I'm not too worried about using my tweezers. Hopefully, I don't need to. I'll just go ahead and throw those guys on in there. Don't want to have them touch. Thank you very little. And then we'll do another 10 minutes. I'll show you what the process is in a moment. So coming upon 10 minutes, I did flip the wires over 7 minutes in on that one side, flipped it over with 3 more minutes remaining. But as you can see, it's darkened that cable, that wire rope very well. It's darkened up that wire rope very well. So yeah. Now the question is, will it be able to attach onto those plastic eyelets? We're going to see. Using crazy glue, maybe we have to trim it down a little bit, remove a little bit of that wire. That's kind of like what I did with this guy here. As you can see, that little stinger up there. Just remove a little bit of that wire. But we'll see. It's now 10 minutes, 30 seconds. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes just to make sure the other side gets an even coating. But using a brush, you might see a few imperfections of the copper or the metal still showing up. Can you reuse this liquid? Most likely yes. Not an issue there. I've already done so far 3 strands, 3 wire ropes, and seems to be working pretty well. Will I pour this stuff back into the original bottle? I'm not going to do that. I use pretty much the minimum amount just to get the coating of those wire ropes. But yeah, pretty happy. This is another enhancement that I'm going to put on that Leopard 2 AVLB. So you'll probably see the finished product once I attach those cables onto the Leopard 2. All right, so showing you plastic, burnishing fluid, copper wire, and here's what I got. Oop, I didn't glue that one down. That's why. Super glue holds up pretty well. No issues. Pull on that pretty well. And I did paint the eyelet in a steel color. You can see where I kind of like cut a little strand off. Try crazy gluing it down, pinching it with a pair of tweezers, and that seemed to work pretty well. So you have to probably like trim down just a strand. Over here, same thing. Removed a little strand. You can see the pieces right over here on the napkin there. But yeah, Yahoo, no worries. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and attach that, or at least shape it out to attach it onto the Leopard 2 AVLB. So just as a last part of this video, just to show you how it came out. Looks like some of the blackening came out, but you know what? I mean, it kind of looks like a steel wire rope, even though it's a copper wire. And it has its sheen a little bit. I could rust that up probably. But yeah, I mean, it looks good. It looks good. Can't complain. Here's another one. Again, same effect. You can bend it. It won't come off on your fingers. Doesn't look like it. But yeah, I mean, it's still malleable. Still able to fix it. So yeah, no worries. We're going to go ahead and glue down those tie downs.